Google essentially admitted, hey, yes, we were censoring. Yes, we have deactivated thousands of accounts, including YouTube accounts for a lot of people. We obviously knew that was happening.
Yes, because we knew well-known people, some who we were representing,
Yeah.
some who are now the current deputy director of the FBI. Dan Bongino was at one of those people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a pretty big list. Look,
Gorka,
we continually,
War Room, Bannon.
we continually fought with YouTube for quite a while. There were many times where we had an issue with them, went back and forth. Now, in the last year, YouTube has actually made a pretty strong, and Google's made a pretty strong effort to say, we were wrong, and we did this poorly. And they even put out videos saying, you can talk about life, you can talk about abortion. We're not going to censor that anymore. We're not going to they were essentially
There's been a huge
shadow banning
shift on social media
Absolutely.
to free speech.
So I want to give Google...
We need to do everything we can to keep it that way.
So I want to give Google a little bit of credit in this for saying this, but obviously the big part of it, which is what Mark Zuckerberg said now a couple of years ago on Joe Rogan, which is, yeah, we were doing this, but that is because the Biden administration was putting immense pressure on Google to censor Americans and remove content, even if that content did not violate YouTube policy.
And it scares them because they get the protection, Section 302 protection from lawsuits because people can post things, and if people do post things, you can't sue them because someone posts something horrible even after they take it down.
Yeah.
That's part of the protection we have so that the internet and social media can continue to grow. And they're always concerned that the government holds that over their head. And here's what's key there. The government was holding it over their head. I mean, we knew likely Google wasn't just doing this to do it policy-wise, that there was something going on. And I'm telling you, the power of the federal government because of that section.
Much scarier than you think.
Yes.
In that sense of like, you think Google almost bigger than the government, but really not really.
Not if you take away that provision, because then they would be open up to every time somebody puts something up that's quasi-defamatory. Like all those videos you see of people,
plenty. Most of YouTube.
Places that are, say you can't film and say, privacy. They'd be in a legal mess. But the big news is, one, they've unbanned all those accounts and made sure. But two, the much bigger news is that the Biden administration was telling them to ban the people.
Yes.
And I think just like they were with Twitter and other accounts, they were naming.
I think that's right, because some of the biggest names, obviously, and then some random ones would get called out.
They always do that.
But when you look at this, I mean, this is what Chairman Jim Jordan, thanks to the oversight of Jim Jordan, Google commits. This is what it says. Google commits to offer all creators previously kicked off YouTube due to political speech violations on topics such as COVID and elections an opportunity to return to the platform. The Biden administration also, again, they pretty much admitted, pressured them to remove content, even if it didn't violate them. And they said it was unacceptable and wrong. This is a big moment. I think it's something that we all need to, you can't necessarily say celebrate what Google is doing, because of course they did have to first commit these issues to get to this point. But if we're talking about moving forward here, I'm pleased with this.
I think right now, moving forward, the big tech content where you put your creations on are much more friendly to just free speech in general. We need to do everything we can to be their friend and to keep it that way.
Look, you're going to spawn new creators too, because people were leaving en masse and going to Rumble, which Rumble's great. We're on there. We love them.
That means good and bad.
Yeah.
You're going to see lots of content you don't like, but as we've all said, that's what freedom of speech is about. There's very little speech that is illegal in the United States, and that's usually incitement. I don't want to get into all of that right now because it's very difficult to prove, but they do have power because they're a private company. So the more we can keep them open and honest and keep the government out, that's why we don't want the FCC, telling people either. These are wins for free speech.
The platforms, whether it's Facebook or Twitter X or Instagram or TikTok, whatever they are, if they don't moderate and monitor the content, we lose total control. And it's not just the social and psychological effects, it's real harm.
It's real hard, social, psychological effects. And look, I don't disagree with that in the sense of there are real social and psychological effects of social media. You got to be very careful on what you allow your kids to see, even what you allow in your own brain. I think we all know that over the last couple weeks.
If you're an adult who is sane and doesn't have those issues, just don't look at the comments.
Yeah.
I always say, don't read the comments, Hillary Clinton.
So let's talk about, though, how we were involved in this.
Yes, I want to show it to
important.
people. I'm going to hold it in my hand right now. I mean, this goes back, actually, this is a Supreme Court case that just came out. in light of all of these changes, the case kind of came to a moot point. But I want you to see it and read it carefully, who the ACLJ was representing here. This is the brief, the amicus brief, representing Charlie Kirk and some others, including people like David Harris, Robbie Starbuck. And this is your ACLJ, Jay Sekulow, Stuart Roth, Jordan Sekulow, our team, Craig Parshall. We were the attorneys for Charlie Kirk fighting back against that censorship because, again, those not only were we affected, but people like him, seriously affected when they had to go find other platforms. And unfortunately, he's not here for this day when not only had Google kind of already probably done this, I don't think Charlie Kirk was having issues there.
I think in the last year they've really done better.
But to know that it wasn't just Google, that it was really, like Zuckerberg had said about Facebook, that it was the Biden administration threatening them.
Yeah, and I think...
And let me tell you something. It's not telling them, hey, please do this. They say, hey, please do this, or else we might want to start looking at those exemptions you have and your immunity you have from prosecution because, you put this information up there and someone gets COVID and sick. Maybe we'll let that family sue you if we remove that. And imagine how many of those... You could put a company like Google... they'd have to, it would no longer be Alphabet.
Yes, they'd have to be broken up.
Yeah.
Be broken up into many different sources. Look, I think when you look at this, it's not shocking, but it is shocking when you actually read it. That Google is saying, yes, this is what happened. Because even Zuck, kind of like backed up. Like he said, yeah, they created a portal where they could...
He did it on his own.
He did it. Yeah, exactly.
He went and testified on his own. Yeah. He didn't require this kind of, that was, what, 2 years
so what
ago?
happened to lead to this?
Hearing, congressional oversight.
And they just said, yes, that's
House Judiciary Committee. And finally, through that and through a court order, a court decision from the district court, this was the case, leading up to our Supreme Court case, said that the White House colluded with big tech. We know this was going on. Remember the disinformation boards that they were getting rid of, but then they weren't really getting rid of. They were renaming. Mm-hmm. This is why we all jumped when the FCC said, we're gonna, if they don't do it, we're gonna change this.
Yeah,
and,
for Jimmy.
And I think he probably overspoke. I think Pam Bondi, when she said hate speech, same kind of thing. She immediately changed that to incitement, which is the real legal issues. There's no laws on hate speech and things like that. Freedom of speech, we know, is the topic right now, and is the debate is, do we want censorship of freedom of speech or not? As you know, lawful, ugly, bad, things we don't like, things we love, it's much better to protect it all. You protect it all, that means your Christian speech, your pro-life speech, your questions about those in power get protected. If you start picking and choosing sides, you know what happens? The other side comes in, and let me tell you, the other side, the left, a lot better, as we've already seen. They didn't have any laws or rules on the books. They just used pressure. Just
pressure, and then they'll cave to it. And also because they theoretically would probably say, "Oh, maybe they're on our side in this." When you have organizations being run,
these tech companies, one, they're not really on sides, and two, I think what they have learned is that the right, because of our views on free speech, which took them some time to, I think, understand, realizes it's much safer for them because we don't threaten to take away their status. We understand they need the ability to create with AI and things like that, and that means that sometimes the AI is going to say things that are bad and they need to fix, and that's okay if we're going to compete with the world.